welcome back to World Crisis Radio, directing your attention, as always, to Tarpley.net. Tarpley.net, one-stop shopping to understand what's going on in the world. So Sarkozy at the United Nations wants a financial transaction tax. Good. It's on the agenda. The genie is out of the bottle. The Tobin genie is out of the bottle, and if he keeps pushing that at the G20 and the G8 starting in November, that will have a very salutary effect. The only way you get out of a depression is to change the political correlation of forces to the detriment of the financiers, to strike at finance capital, make them pay, defeat them some way, any way. That's the class struggle in the world against the financiers. It's humanity against the financiers. Those are the two classes that you have. And, of course, industrialists and labor have a common interest in opposing those financiers, those London and Wall Street and Frankfurt and Tokyo and the rest of them. So if you have today 1,000 trillion of turnover per year, 1 quadrillion per year turnover in the foreign exchange markets, a 1% Tobin tax gives you 10 trillion to work with. Now, that compares with France. France, as Sarkozy said, is currently the number 2 donor, I guess after the U.S., at the level of 10 billion euros. Right? So now you're talking essentially, a huge increase compared to this. The countries that are likely to be sympathetic, France is for this, Germany for it, Brazil is for it, Norway, Austria, against the usual Anglo-Saxon conspiracy types, U.S., Canada, Britain, and then China. How embarrassing for China to be caught in this English-speaking club. They better revise their position fast. But with 10 trillion, let's suppose we have a multilateral development authority devoted to productive investment in infrastructure. What could you do? Well, you undo the Indus. That's one. The Nile makes 2. Full Tennessee Valley Authority treatment. Congo, number 3. Amazon, 4. Rio de la Plata, 5. Ganges, Brahmaputra, probably 7. Mackenzie in Canada, 8. And you might then have money for your Gibraltar Bridge Tunnel, and you might have some money left over for the Mekong, and you might have some money left over for that connection, Italy, Tunisia, by way of Sicily. You get the idea. If these are trillion-dollar projects, you can fill in the blanks. And this is what ought to be done. Now, the specifics, who gets the money, how it's used, how much, how big is the tax, all of that is open, because he didn't even mention any of that. I mean, he has his ideas, obviously, but we don't care about his ideas. We want to make this much broader. These are the openings that you exploit. Once somebody has said the magic words, tax the banks, the sky's the limit. And once the average person realizes that bankers pay no tax, they don't pay a transfer tax, they don't pay a sales tax, they don't pay corporate income tax. And if the Republicans get their way, they won't even pay anything on their S-corps and their LLCs. And that's Kohlberg, Kravis, Roberts, and Fidelity. My God, as small businesses. Then the anger goes where it belongs against Wall Street, who control the government and loot the government and use the government to loot the people. Now, why is he doing this? Obviously, Sarkozy has his own problems. He's deeply unpopular. He's facing Dominique Strauss-Kahn as a challenger. He's facing de Villepin as a challenger. But in particular, Strauss-Kahn. And if Sarkozy says, I want the Tobin tax, then the Anglo-Americans are going to tell Strauss-Kahn, hey, Dominique Strauss-Kahn, you've got to say no. So that's a way for Sarkozy. That's why he does it. Yes, he has ulterior motives. Yes, he has an agenda. So what? There are a lot of people with ulterior motives and an agenda who are saying free market and essentially don't you dare tax the banks. Now, let's look at the questions then of economic program. One thing is the immediate need to increase wheat production in the world. There's just been this summit at the FAO in Rome, Food and Agricultural Organization, a huge increase in the wheat price because of the Pakistani floods and above all the Russian heat wave, and that focuses then on countries like Egypt, where they're afraid of famine and riots. We need to have a regulated market, stop the speculators from coming in and feasting on human flesh. But let's also talk about China Interesting here, the Wall Street Journal, September 23rd. They've been riding on the fastest high-speed rail in the world, which is now China Railway High Speed at 217 miles an hour. That's faster than the French TGV, faster than the Japanese Shinkansen bullet train, and it goes from Guangzhou, that's Canton, to the industrial city of Wuhan on the Yangtze River, and it's a beautiful train, and it goes across this beautiful Chinese countryside, and there it is. The Chinese fast trains. It's a 600-mile trip. It used to take 16 hours. It now takes 3.25 hours. What are you going to do to match that? Now, we could take at least a couple of steps in the right direction. Here we have the New York Daily News. Says, hey, Obama, you want to do something for New York? Set up high-speed Amtrak rail lines to Albany from New York and from New York to Buffalo. Build the second phase of the 2nd Avenue subway line linking the Bronx to Brooklyn. Complete the long-planned Moynihan train station as a major transit hub. This Moynihan is unfortunate, but a train station, a good idea. Rapid modernization of the New York City subway system. Yeah, that is needed. Underground freight tunnel to bring cargo into the city by rail. Yes. Complete overhaul of the Tappan Zee Bridge. This is where the Hudson River spreads out some miles above New York City. Yes. Train linking Penn Station directly to JFK, LaGuardia, and Newark airports. Yes. An upgraded air traffic control system for the 3 airports, cutting down delays and increasing capacity. And you can make a list like that for every U.S. metropolitan area. Let's also look at one other thing. We have Senator George Voinovich, Republican, doing something good here. He's about to retire, so he's beyond the reach of the reactionary forces in the field today. He is co-sponsoring a summit in December in Washington, D.C. Industry, Congress, the White House, government agencies, the national labs, and the financial sector revitalized the nuclear industry. Long overdue. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission, located here in Maryland, is currently reviewing 13 combined license applications for 23 new U.S. nuclear power plants. You better start building all of those because the Chinese are building 25, and if you don't build those, you will be caught flat-footed. U.S. currently has 104 operating nuclear plants. That's the most of any country. They supply 20% of the U.S. electricity, but unfortunately they are now all pre-Carter. They're all obsolete. Voinovich talks about small modular reactors, far more affordable for U.S. utilities. This is an area. The Department of Energy has about $50 million now for small nuclear reactors in the fiscal 2011 budget, and the competition for this is already beginning. Co-sponsor for this meeting in December, Senator Tom Carper, Democrat of Delaware. And here in the Washington Post, we have a very interesting article in the Health and Science Department. Forget Chernobyl. Downsized plants may soon be delivering affordable power to you. This is called the Nuke Next Door, and we're talking small nuclear plants. And let's just go through the list. The Toshiba 4S nuclear battery is refueled every 30 years. It's a sodium-cooled fast neutron reactor, and it creates enough power for 10,000 households. Then you have the Hyperion nuclear power module, liquid metal-cooled fast neutron reactor. Refuel it every 8 to 10 years. That's enough for 25,000 households. NuScale power plant, a light water thermal reactor. Refuel it every 2 years, 45,000 households. TerraPower, TRW, every 40 years, 50,000 households. And you build those for export. So between the Craig Venter nanotechnology and the smaller nuclear reactors, you could actually restart a U.S. export industry. Don't let the cokeheads and don't let the reactionary Wall Street types prevent this from happening. So we'll see you again next week on World Crisis Radio. And in the meantime, Tarpley.net, Tarpley.net.